You got Devin Clark versus Azamat Murzakanov, and I'm leaning towards Murzakanov because he does look to be a really exciting, fun, creative stand-up fighter. And there are still some questions because this is his sophomore appearance in the UFC, but it looks like he's just super powerful for a light. I mean, light heavyweights typically are pretty powerful, but he's potentially on that upper echelon of power. Just knocking guys out left and right. That's his game plan. It's just go in there, be fun, and knock dudes out. He had a flying knee victory over Tafon and Chukwi in his debut back in March. That was exciting. The flying knee is always fun to watch, especially close to the end of the fight, the way that he did it. And then, one victory in the Contender Series. Early right hook, just put a dude to sleep, Mateus Scheffel. But, exciting stuff to see. He's not the most active guy. It looks like he fights maybe once a year, twice a year if we're lucky. But against a guy like Devin Clark, who's, he's been at it a long time, and he's fought some of the best light heavyweights that we have to offer in the UFC. He's got losses to a lot of them. Won his last fight against William Knight, had a loss to Jan Kutalaba by decision, which isn't super great. Getting choked out by Anthony Smith, win over Alonzo Menafield. Okay, that's decent. I mean, this is a good test for Murzakanov, and I'm looking forward to seeing what he can do. Against a guy like Devin Clark, who's fought everybody. He's fought Jan Blachowicz, and Devin Clark has been knocked out before. It was Alexander Rakic that put him to sleep with spinning back fist to ground and pound, I believe it was, and just beat the snot out of him there. But so it's not like Devin Clark has a super vulnerable chin, but when it comes to a guy that's very, very creative, and has a little bit of a presence about him, only fights once a year, and when he does, he goes in there and just knocks guys out. I think there's a good chance that is the inevitable, well, not inevitable, but there's a good chance that it's the outcome this week, that Devin Clark is getting put to sleep by Murzakanov. The creativity is huge. A guy that's going to go in there and knock someone out with a flying knee, confident enough to leave the ground and, not
in the third round too.
Huh?
In the third round too.
Yeah, at the end of the fight, late there too. So, I'm excited to see Murzakanov at minus 175 favorite. Devin Clark is a tenured guy, so it's a legit test for him, but I think he'll get it done this week. What do you think, Tom?
Yeah, for Azamat Murzakanov, he's obviously doesn't have the wealth of UFC experience that Devin Clark does. Devin Clark, of course, not in his last fight, but his fight before that, got his actual gums separated from his jaw, which was one of the more gruesome injuries I've ever seen. That happened at the end of the second round to a knee. Electing to continue fighting that out in the third round, kind of going, well, the damage is done. So, you think you want to be a fighter, that probably would have made me reevaluate my profession right there on the stool. That being said, he's got really, really big thighs. He fought at heavyweight at his last time out. Ended up getting the KO there, but at the end of the day, Devin Clark is a stand-up guy. He's got pretty decent grappling ability. He's got the USA wrestling tattooed on his shin or his calf, whichever one, depending on whatever. Not important. He likes to throw straight punches. Those are his specialty. That's really kind of what unlocks the rest of his stand-up. He's also a big teep kicker, big user of the teep kicks to keep distance from his opponents. He's taken a lot of damage over his career, especially his last few fights. Like I said, getting his gums legitimately knocked out. USA wrestler. He's got good speed, and he trains at Elevation Fight Team out there in Colorado, so his cardio is not going to be something to really be concerned at. Like I said, he fought William Knight in his last fight at heavyweight, in which case he ended up getting the knockout, but he left his chin exposed a lot and was really just lucky that William Knight didn't have a long enough reach to be able to hit him. Devin Clark was able to use his reach advantage to knock out White and touch Knight before Knight really had the chance to come back. For Azamat Murzakanov, he's also going to have a reach disadvantage to Devin Clark here. Murzakanov fights out of Fairfield, New Jersey. He's got big left hands and overhands, followed up by the right hook, especially. If he can touch you with that left hand, stun you, he can put you down with the right hook. He did that in his UFC opening debut. He's really good in and out movement, constantly moving around the cage. The third round flying knee was his first time in the third round. I think all of his fights up until that point have been first round and first round knockouts at that. He's got a very good first round finish for Andre Muniz. A long time ago, he's got a first round finish to get into the UFC off Dana White's Contender Series. He uses a lot of feints to set up his power left. So a lot of this movement here. So you're going to see a lot of movement of him circling around the cage, coming in and out. And I think because of that, he is able to kind of negate a lot of those reach issues that he has against other guys. Azamat has had tank issues before, like in that fight with Kennedy Nzechukwu. I mean, he did by the second round look exhausted. He was able to muster up a perfectly placed, flying knee, which I think maybe just shows that he's able to think intelligently even at an exhausted state. But it still wasn't great knowing him and his style and how active it is that he was showing to wear, especially against a guy like Devin Clark, who's shown that he doesn't have the ability to do that. All in all, I think Clark tries to tie him up and take him down, but with Azamat's left hand and Clark's accumulating like knockouts that he's had in the most recent fights of his career, I think Azamat really only has to catch him once, just to show them that he can kind of do it, and then Clark is going to be a little bit more timid for the rest of the fight. I think that Murzakanov is going to be able to counter a lot of the straights that are coming from Devin Clark. Devin Clark going to shoot the straight, and if Murzakanov can get out of the way in kind of the stand-up striking style that he has in the past, I think he'll be able to land that left hand and put down Devin Clark. But I will say, the further this fight goes on, the more I think it leans towards Devin Clark. So I'm going to take Azamat Murzakanov. I'm going to take him to actually get the finish in the first or the second round. Actually, you know what? No. I'm going to take Azamat Murzakanov. I think he wins the first round. I think he gets close in the second round, and Devin Clark wins the third round, and it's going to be a 29-28 decision towards Devin Clark. Or Azamat Murzakanov, sorry. Azamat Murzakanov.
I like it. We've been seeing those 29-28s popping up a lot recently. I like that pick a lot. Murzakanov, I think he's going to get it done this week. And, Devin Clark does tend to, come to life a little bit later on. So that makes a lot of sense that he would win the third round, especially as Murzakanov starts to gas a little bit. This next fight,